Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. Mine's been really awesome so far. And today we have a really cool video. So apparently there's rumors going around that Addo is a target for the Seoul Dynasty. Now, this is definitely an interesting trade, especially from the Seoul Dynasty's perspective. I'm not really sure if Addo fits in on this team. If you think about it and you look at the players already that are DPS on the Seoul Dynasty, we have Fleta, we have Wakid. Very similar hero pools. Both play a lot of projectile and are almost identical to what Addo plays. So that's definitely a little concerning and makes me wonder why exactly Seoul Dynasty is going after Addo instead of somebody like Effect, who's a really strong tracer, which was something that Seoul Dynasty definitely lacked in last season, especially near the end after they got rid of Bunny. I know Munchkin played a decent tracer. Yeah, he wasn't terrible, but let's be honest, he wasn't that superstar carry that, you needed in stage 2 and 3, like a Striker, a Prophet, a Sabiolbi. You need someone that can compete with those guys, and I really don't think that's Addo. I know he plays an okay tracer, maybe a little bit above average, so we're going to be covering this potential trade. It was leaked by Halo of Thoughts, who has an interesting track record. I wouldn't say he's always been, 100% right, but we're going to take a look at it. And then, guys, after this, we're going to be talking about the London Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty. So there is a rivalry that is brewing up right now, and I think it is going to absolutely explode in Season 2. I really do think that the London Spitfire and Seoul Dynasty right now do not like each other. Matter of fact, I think they hate each other. So the London Spitfire's head coach recently parted ways with them, and well, it looks like he is joining Seoul Dynasty now. And I think this is only going to ignite a flame that is already starting to grow. After the Addo and Seoul Dynasty situation, we're going to be talking about the bad blood between Seoul Dynasty and London Spitfire, and why I think it is going to be one of the most anticipated and crazy rivals of Season 2. So if you guys are excited for this video, be sure to drop a like on it, and do not forget, click that red subscription box, guys, if you want to stay updated on all Overwatch League, Overwatch news, whatever, anything that has to do with esports. This is your channel. Put notifications on. I upload every single day, twice. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Alright, so as we mentioned earlier, Seoul Dynasty is looking to potentially trade with the Shanghai Dragons and get Addo in return. And it's definitely something I wouldn't have expected. So this came from Halo of Thoughts, Aaron Brown. He tweeted this out earlier today. Rumor, hearing from a couple of places that there is a possibility that Addo from the Shanghai Dragons is a potential target for the Seoul Dynasty. Now let's first talk about Halo of Thoughts and his actual track record. So he's leaked a couple of things, and so far nothing has been proven true, but one of his most popular leaks, which we did talk about on this channel, was that Melbourne, Australia was a target for an Overwatch League city in Season 2. And this got me really excited. I know got a lot of you guys excited, especially the Australian fans. Well, this turned out not to be so true for at least Season 2. He came out and tweeted and said, oh, so it seems like a lot of my sources were more leaning towards Season 3 and not exactly Season 2. Which I guess, fair play, doesn't really discredit him that much. So it's something that really hasn't come true yet, and we'll just have to see. So I don't really know what to say. I guess take these trade rumors with a grain of salt. Like, it's as he said, rumors. It's not officially true. And it's not someone like Slasher that I would just believe because of his previous track record and his credibility. But it's definitely a fun topic, and it really does seem like the Seoul Dynasty are trying to amp it up extremely hard for Season 2. Alright, so now with this trade rumor out and about, let's go ahead and take a look at the Seoul Dynasty roster, specifically DPSs. So right now we have 3, potentially 4 DPS players, starting off with the obvious Fleta. Insane player, pretty flexible, but really specializes in those like heavy projectiles and Widowmaker. So we're talking Genji, Pharah, Widow. Now, Fleta played a whole bunch of other heroes like McCree, Soldier. He just wasn't absolutely insane at them like he was at Widowmaker, Pharah, and Genji. And it definitely shows he had way less hours on any of these other heroes. And now moving on to the second DPS player for Seoul Dynasty, we have Wakid, and he's very similar to Fleta. He doesn't play any Widowmaker, but he is very heavy projectile, and more specifically Junkrat and Genji, and a little bit of Pharah. We also seen him flex onto things like Brigida, Soldier, McCree as well, but he hardly played those. For him, it was mainly projectile, which is weird because that's the same thing Fleta did. So already with these two players, we're having very serious issues with overlapping heroes. The only difference being that Fleta plays a lot of Widowmaker and Wakid plays a lot more Junkrat than Fleta. But you'd think, why not just have Fleta pick up the Junkrat and play that as well whenever it's needed? Because honestly, these two weren't really paired together that often. So like, in my opinion, I don't even see why they needed Wakid in Season 1. They would have been fine just running Fleta the entire time, and maybe that would have helped with his consistency issues. I don't know. Maybe there was a reason they couldn't do that, and maybe it was because of the flexibility of their third DPS player, which they were running a lot, and that was Munchkin. Now, Munchkin was the Tracer main for this team throughout most of the season. They did have Bunny at the beginning, but as I said, they got rid of him. So Munchkin, all the Tracer duties fell on him, and again, as I said, he really didn't perform that great. Yeah, there were definitely better Tracers in the league, but there was probably some worse Tracers in the league as well. I'd say he sat around the middle of the pack, maybe a little below the average. Of course, though, don't get me wrong, at times Munchkin did have these really good games, but then there were also these games where you just didn't even notice him. It didn't seem like they had a Tracer player sometimes. Alright, so let's go ahead and check Addo's hero pool and see how he would fit into the mix. His number one played hero with 6 hours and 30 minutes was Tracer, but his second most played hero very closely behind that was 6 hours and 20 minutes, and it's Genji. Behind that, it's Junkrat, Pharah, Brigida, Widowmaker. All heroes that Munchkin and Fleta pretty much played the entire season, besides Tracer. Now, I don't know if Seoul Dynasty's plan is to bring in Addo as a Tracer main. I really don't think so, because Addo was better at Genji in my opinion. And then the other heroes he plays lean way more towards projectile rather than hit scan, which is definitely something they're looking for. Not just Widowmaker, because again, they got that covered with Fleta. So I don't really know how this all adds up in the Seoul Dynasty's head. Maybe they're thinking about trading Wakita away and they're going to look for another backup to Fleta. I don't know if that's the position Addo's going to fill. Maybe that would at least make the most sense compared to anything else. But I still just don't see the reasoning of getting rid of Wakid and getting Addo unless Wakid has some serious attitude issues, because he played okay. He played fine. Like, for a backup to Fleta, he did decent. I just don't think they should have ran him as much as they did and should have kept Fleta in more and had him play the Junkrat. And because of that, I think he would have definitely been a more consistent player. So, I don't know, bringing Addo in is definitely a weird situation. Can he be a Tracer main? Possibly. I'm not saying his Tracer absolutely sucks. It definitely was decent, and it's hard to tell where he exactly is because he was playing for the Shanghai Dragons, a team that absolutely gets stomped and dragged around. So it's almost nearly impossible to see how good an individual player is on this team, but the fact that Addo is able to look like a superstar sometimes and show off his skill while getting stomped and destroyed by every team in the league is impressive. I'll give him that 100%. And yeah, as Tracer again, it looked decent, but most of that superstar play, in my opinion, came from the Genji. So to me, I would think that a team would want to put him on Genji and Projectile. But we'll just have to see how the dice roll and what he ends up doing for the Seoul Dynasty if they pursue him. Now, there is one last thing I do want to say about Addo, in that he kind of does remind me of a Prophet, and you guys all know how much I like Prophet. I just can't avoid not mentioning him in a video. I'm sorry, but I think he's a really good player, and Addo reminds me of him. He has a very similar hero pool, plays the Tracer, and then all the projectiles along with like a Brigida. So Addo could be a hidden gem. He could be. We'll just have to see. Now again, this is rumors, guys. It's not official. I do think it's possible though. We'll just have to see what happens. Alright, now let's go ahead and transition into the Seoul Dynasty versus London Spitfire rivalry that is going to brew up into an intense battle season 2. Alright, so now let's take a look at some other moves that Seoul Dynasty have made so far in the offseason. Obviously, we all know the Fisher situation. Seoul Dynasty, they picked him up. It's official. But they've also been making a lot of coaching moves. So they picked up a head coach from Moasic eSports. He is Korean. He was coaching a European contenders team, which was doing pretty well. All right, let's begin this story with London Spitfire and their ex-head coach, Chang. So London Spitfire and Chang decided to part ways. Let's go ahead and take a look at the statement announced on their website. London Spitfire and Coach Chang part ways. The London Spitfire announced today that team and coach Chang have mutually decided to part ways. We would like to thank Chang for everything he helped the Spitfire achieve during the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. Chang joined the London Spitfire via acquisition of the GC Busan roster, coming off of their championship run at APAC Premier 2017. His familiarity and relationships with the GC Busan roster helped create a comfortable environment that fostered success, leading the Spitfire to become the first stage champions in history of the Overwatch League. Despite the ups and downs of the season, Chang helped the Spitfire come away with the third best map differential at the end of the regular season and helped lead the Spitfire on a remarkable run through the playoffs, culminating in being crowned the first ever Overwatch League champions. His efforts, along with those of the rest of the staff and roster, have forever been cemented in the league's history, and we are grateful for the role that he played in the unforgettable season. From all of us here at London Spitfire, we We wish Chang success as he moves on to the next phase of his career and look forward to our paths crossing in the future. So this is crazy news in itself. The London Spitfire are parting ways with their head coach who just helped them win a championship. That's absolutely insane. And right now it probably doesn't make sense. Why the hell would a head coach of a championship winning team want to leave and not go for like 2 in a row or something like that? Well, it's because of this. So as I said, Halo of Thoughts, this is his second leak that we're going to be talking about, and one that definitely seems very likely to happen. Here's what Halo of Thoughts tweeted out. Source: in something that may not come as a surprise to some, ex-Spitfire coach Jang Jen Changun Park has an agreement to join the Seoul Dynasty coaching staff. Expected that he will join as head coach. So this is huge news, guys. Seoul Dynasty yoinking the head coach from the London Spitfire right under their feet. And this is a whole nother reason why I think the London Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty are going to build up one of the greatest rivalries of all time that will ever even exist in the Overwatch League. I'm not even talking up until Season 2 and the end of Season 2. I think this is a rivalry that is starting and will last for many years, 5 seasons, 6 seasons. These teams do not like each other. Matter of fact, I think Seoul Dynasty and London Spitfire hate each other. Let's go ahead and go back to the very beginning of the season, where these two teams probably didn't like each other anyways, considering that the London Spitfire was comprised of the rivals of Lunatic High, both Kong Du Panthera and GC Busan, two teams that faced them multiple times in Apex, and GC Busan, who actually ended the reign of Lunatic High in my opinion, by beating them 2 times in a row in Apex Season 4, the season after Lunatic High won Season 2, Season 3, so they were back-to-back champions. GC Busan just completely destroyed them 3-0 and 3-1. So Lunatic High obviously didn't like GC Busan or Kong Du Panthera, who they faced in the finals previous season. So already, they obviously don't like each other, right? But then we begin Season 1, and Seoul Dynasty, they're making offers to the London Spitfire to try to get Fisher. Oh, well, London Spitfire, they didn't even tell Fisher. They're completely denying all of the offers from Seoul Dynasty, shutting them down, maybe even in a rude manner. Who knows? And then, of course, this leads up to Fisher getting picked up by Seoul Dynasty, who once was on London Spitfire and probably doesn't like them. He already vocally said that their house was basically trash and that he didn't enjoy riding the bench and already wanted to be traded to Seoul Dynasty. So there's a factor right there alone that will build a rival between these two teams. Oh, and not to forget all the shit that Fisher talked to the London Spitfire while he was on the LA Gladiators. Do you regret it? So obviously London probably doesn't like Fisher. Fisher doesn't like London. Now the second big thing is the London Spitfire wanting to host a meetup in Seoul, Korea after winning the championship. Well, Seoul Dynasty was like, that's our territory. You guys aren't hosting shit in our city. So, London Spitfire, after winning the championship, they're like, really? We just won Season 1. You guys aren't going to let us host an event here. We're all Korean. So clearly, London Spitfire don't like them for that. And they probably don't like them because of the Fisher situation as well. And now the third thing, which I think is the biggest, the head coach of the London Spitfire, who literally just won Season 1 with them. He won a ring. All the glory, everything. Just left his team. Literally walks out. How do you do that? That's insane. Insanity. And what does he do? He walks right on over to the Seoul Dynasty. And he is now probably going to be the head coach for them. Now, if that doesn't piss you off as a London Spitfire fan, I don't know what will. And imagine if you're pissed off right now, how pissed is a London Spitfire organization member, player, coach, whoever it is, going to feel about this situation? They are not happy. They just lost their head coach to their rival who they already don't like. Now, I think these two teams would have had a huge rivalry in Season 1, at least if Seoul Dynasty was more competitive. And I think they did have a rivalry. It was just that London Spitfire would 4-0 them pretty much every time they played, and it wasn't fun to watch. But I think now heading into Season 2 with these huge changes to Seoul Dynasty, they're clearly amping it up. I think London Spitfire is obviously going to be high off confidence. Whoever they pick up for their head coach, they're going to be dominant in Stage 1 and 2 for sure. So I think Seoul Dynasty will be able to match that, and these guys will have insane Game 5 matchups. Ones that we definitely expected to see in Season 1, we will get in Season 2, guys, and I think these teams are going to end up hating each other if they don't already, which in my opinion, I think they definitely do. So I'm getting super stoked and hyped for this rivalry, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think about this whole entire video. Do you think Addo will join the Seoul Dynasty? And more importantly, which I'm just so excited about, is this rivalry. Do you think it's going to be as tense as I'm hyping it up to be? I really do hope so, and I feel like it will be. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, guys, and be sure, if you want to stay updated on all Overwatch League news, content, updates, esports, whatever it is, man, this is your channel. Hit that red subscription box, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.